Just wanted to
Alright.
quickly interrupt
in 1,
myself and just
2,
say sorry about the
3.
quality shit. I don't know why it's 720p. Alright, anyway,
Hello.
back to the video.
So, I know this video is kind of weird for a first YouTube video, but I was told by a lot of people that this must be talked about. Keep in mind, this is a sore subject for me, and I will disclose this right now. I hit my mic. That viewer discretion is advised, and this has some screwed up stuff in it. So I'll say right now, just so people are clear here, I'm autistic, as many of you know from my streams. So let's get into it. Keep in mind, by the way, before I begin, this is partially scripted. If you see me looking down like this, that's me reading a rough draft of what I want to talk about. So, on that note, let's get into it. So, this is a school I went to, but in order to make all of you understand where this really began, I need to talk about how I got there. So throughout my childhood, there was a lot of rough things happening with me. Bullying and, you know, a lot of personal family stuff that I won't get into because this is a public setting. But I was a troubled kid. I wasn't like a troublemaker or anything. I was just more of the silent type. Well, I can't say that. Well, because this is before the school, so I was kind of an extrovert. Everyone kind of loved me, but I was also being bullied a lot. And I was mostly silent at home, but, yeah, it's hard for me to look that back. So, apologies if I mix up some words. So, how I got into school was, for a while I was having trouble fitting in, I guess, in their eyes. So, for a while they were thinking about it. They were suggesting it to my parents, plural. So, one day, I guess I took a step too far, and I fought back against the bully, and I said something I shouldn't have, and it affected that person forever, even to this day. So, that was a big regret moment in my life, but as you'll find out later in this video, you'll understand that I learned my lesson good. I learned my lesson real good not to say such hurtful things to people. So, fast forward a bit, and long story short, the public school said it's best that he goes to this private school for people like him. And my mom heard good reviews from the school, so she put me in there. And let's talk about the first day. I walk in, and there's like a bunch of kids, like, looking like they had just seen a ghost. You know, everyone was really single file line walking in the hallway, single file with the teachers watching over them as they walked to their next class. And I was like, okay, this isn't the norm. This is absolutely not normal. So I was like, okay, what the fuck? So I just brushed it off as like, okay, I guess they do things a little different here because it's a private school. You know, it's probably like, you know, strict, you know, more sophisticated things. Oh, how foolish I was. Long story short, any time, like in any form of me trying to speak and, you know, make friends and communicate with the kids, the other kids, the teachers just told me to legitimately just shut up. Just that, not even like making it sound worse. They literally told me word for word to shut up. Keep in mind, I was only 12, I believe. I was only a kid, and they were telling me to shut up so aggressively too. And of course, obviously, I kept trying because you know, I just wanted to make friends. You know, I was lonely. I was a lonely kid. At that point, I didn't really have many friends, and I didn't really have any of the friends from my old school's number, so I was just trying to make new connections, and I just ignored the teachers because I thought, you know, I'm sure they are just doing that because, you know, they have to, you know, but I just kept doing it like a dumbass. And now we get into the bad stuff. From this point on, this is your last chance of leaving this video. If you don't want to hear the dark shit that I'm about to talk about, leave now. This has some really bad stuff in it. It has, you know, it has some pretty gnarly stuff, so I'll give you a few seconds of silence to leave. Alright, now that the people who stuck around are here, let's talk about it. So, this kid ran at me with a pencil, intending to stab me with it, because I don't quite remember what I said, but, you know, this kid said something pretty rude, and I said, hey, you know, that was mean, don't be a meanie. You know, I didn't say that exactly, but I essentially told the kid, hey, don't be an asshole, essentially. And he ran at me. And of course I stepped out of the way. I dodged him, as anybody should and would do. And long story short, like a couple of tall men came in. Like, they had to be 6'5", and that's not a joke. 6'5", even now they would be taller than me. So, sorry, I was freaking out a little bit in my head there. By the way, I know this is pretty obvious, but any moments I have where I have a little bit of mental issues when I talk about this, I'm not cutting that out. People have to know this shit is real, and it affects people to this day. So, continuing, they gripped this poor kid by the back of his shirt and just picked him up by the collar of his shirt, like a fucking cat being picked up by the nape. It was bad, real bad. He was screaming. He was saying, no, don't put me back in there, please. And then next thing I know, they shut the door behind them when they left the class, and he was gone out of the classroom. And I was like, okay, that was really weird. And then, like, 5 minutes later, they came back and they said, all right, Jason, it's time to go. And I was like, wait, what? Why? And they said, you shouldn't have instigated it. And I was like, but he was being mean to that person. You know, and I was, a good person always stands up for people. I didn't say that exactly, but I said I was just trying to help. And they said, don't talk back. And then they picked me up by the nape. And then all the thoughts that were going through my head were, just, where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? And then I thought back to that kid saying, don't put me back in there. And I was like, oh God, where are they putting me? I kept trying to fight it. It's like, leave me alone. Stop touching me. And they just kept dragging me and dragging me. Not even letting me, like, stand my own 2 feet on the ground. Like, they were dragging me. Like, dragging me. Like, legs dragging me across the floor. Bad shit. And then they opened a door. in this back area that they don't let you go near. Like, even if you go too far towards it, they say, don't go near there. And I was like, okay. And then they threw me in there. And I looked around me. And it was 4 walls that were padded. The ceiling was also padded. The floor was a carpet. And the door was just a normal door. Sorry. They... At that point, the guys walked away, and I was alone. And I heard the kid from before screaming to the room next to me. And I walked around in that room. It had to have been real fucking small. Like, it was like from over here all the way to that, like, bench behind me. And it was like the width of this train that I'm in right now. And nothing's worse than that. It was claustrophobic. It was padded. It was suffocating. There was not a single vent in that room. No air was getting in that room. So I hyperventilated. I banged on the door. I was like, please let me out. I don't want to be in here anymore. Nobody came. And then this guy walked up. He had a suit, you know, black, like a white shirt, like a dress shirt with a black tie. Like, he was obviously like a social, like a, what do you call those? The people who help kids with mental shit in school. Guidance counselor, I think they're called. Sorry. But he just sat there and he just took notes on a clipboard. And I was like, please let me out. I don't want to be here anymore. Started trying to kick the door down. I hurt myself. And then after 3 hours, he let me out. And then after that, he said, it's last period, you gotta go home. And he walked me home. And before he let me out, he grabbed me by the shirt and pulled me close and said, don't you ever tell your parents about that, or you're gonna spend a long time in there. That instilled fear in me. After that point, I was silent for the rest of the day, even when I got home. I didn't want to play with toys. I didn't want to go on my PS2. Yes, I had one when I was a kid. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to lay down in my room and cry. So once my parents got to bed and I was the only one awake in the house, I cried. So let's fast forward a year. Let's fast forward a year, shall we? At that point, it was routine. It was routine. Me misbehaving because because I saw so many kids, bullying me and others that I made friends with in the school. And every time, without fail, they would throw me in that room. And hell, even when I talk at all to anybody at all during class, they would punish me and they would put me in that room for 3.5 hours to sometimes they left me in there for 5 hours at one point. Point is, they always took notes. They always did that. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they just silently let me sit there. And after a while, one of the kids actually, they banged on the door enough to make their head bleed pretty bad, and they pissed themselves, they shit themselves, and they were just curled up crying on the floor. So then So then the higher ups in that school is like, all right, well, you got to put pads on the door. And they said, okay. And they did that. And then they also installed cameras in those rooms, like a little camera in the corner. And they put like glass around it, like it was some kind of clear thing, like plastic or glass or something. And they put it around the camera, I guess, so the kids can't get at it and destroy it or something. And then after that, there were no more, guys watching us because they could just do it through the camera. And throughout that year, it was beginning to affect me. I was beginning to lash out more. Anytime I did anything wrong, I was put in there, and I always begged them, please stop, please, please. And then they changed something, and they just said, okay, let's see what happens when we do this. And then they removed the lights in the room. Now, granted, there was a very little light in the room already. There was like a singular light bulb, and that was it. And they removed the lights in there because they thought more sensory, like isolating your sensories more, would maybe calm them down more and have more of a positive effect. It had the opposite effect, but they didn't change it back. So we were always in a dark room. And that was like halfway through this year, right? And after that, I began to change into a completely different person. The extroverted kid that was around and about and talking with everybody that looked at him, that kid was gone. Almost completely. That kid was just gone. Almost gone. The only people I would talk to on a daily basis were the friends that I had there. Especially one of them. Anyway. I just was turning into a different person. And every time that I did anything, and anytime there were visitors, one time I made a horrible decision, right? I saw a visitor who was thinking about putting their kid in the school. I ran out of line and I said, hey, don't put your kid here. Don't let him in here. It's horrible. It's hell. It's bad. This is not normal things for a 13-year-old to be saying. I was 13 at the time. There is no fucking way that that's fucking normal for a kid to say. I said that. I was like, this is hell. Don't bring him here. They put me and then they dragged me away. Right before I was able to say anything about it. I said and then they dragged me away. They covered my mouth and they dragged me away. And then they put me in that padded room for 5.5 hours. They put me in there for almost the whole day. And the whole day I was just begging them, please, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do that. I regret it. Please, I'll be good. I'll never speak again. I promise. And I cried. And then that day, something snapped in me. I swear, it was like something changed in me that I didn't want to. I changed. At that point, I was already dealing with shit at home. And, school sucked. Home sucked. Everything sucked. From that point on, I lost all emotion. My autism got so much worse. Or I gained another mental illness or something, but something happened to me that changed me, and ever since I always struggled to read emotion more. I know that's a common thing with autism, and I was told by my therapist later on, like recently, like I don't know, like a couple, like God, months ago, and she said, hey, that is your autism, but there's something else there. It's most likely, now you obviously you probably have PTSD, but there's something else there. and she was going to diagnose it, but unfortunately she quit that job. She quit being a therapist at that particular agency. So she got a promotion somewhere else. So as of right now, I don't have a therapist. But something back then snapped in me. And all emotion was so almost impossible to read. At that point, I just faked it. You know, in front of my family members, I faked it. Faked having emotion because, like, oh, you know, I don't want them to find out about what's happening to me because then they'll put me in that room again. And so I faked having emotions and I was just silent, you know. The only time I felt any joy was when I was with my friends I had online or when I was hanging out with a certain friend of mine in that particular school. But yeah. Moving on, because that particular section took a lot longer than usual. Let's talk about another thing that was horrible there. At some point, I guess I was talking with a couple of my friends too much. So they put me in a desk that had walls. Walls. Like the desk was, the floor was here, and the walls were like here and here. And so I couldn't see anything but the walls. Ow! Sorry. But yeah, no, the walls, they prevented me from seeing anybody or talking with anybody. And anytime I jumped up and said anything and said, hey, can you please remove these walls? They said no. And I was like, please. And they said no. And then I just, whenever I got upset about it, they would throw me back in, obviously, you know, because that's obviously what they would do. And then the nightmares began. Every time I went to sleep, I was in there alone in a dark room in my dreams, and every day, I just, as soon as that snap happened with that mysterious thing that happened to me with the emotions, ever since that point, I had nightmares every night. Even to this day, I have nightmares frequently. Anyway. So, this is the point where, you know, after another year, in 2014, I'm not going to get into it, but something bad happened. That's all I'm going to say. At that point, the old me that was in the school before was almost completely gone. Actually, no. It was completely gone. Sorry, I was checking if people were watching me in my room. But, at this point, the old me was completely gone. Killed. That's what I call it anyway. Gone. Now I was just a silent mess. A silent, depressed kid who lived in pain intensely, who just wanted to feel something, just wanted to have something positive in his life. And then I got out 2 years later in 2016. It was great. It was great. And then I was in middle school for like 2 or so years. I don't quite remember much of the details. Back then it was blurry, and even back then, you know, once I got out, after a while, like got a few years later, the memories were repressed and everything about my personality hardened. You know, the shy, quiet kid who didn't say much but had a really short fuse when you pushed him hard enough. And from this point on, that's pretty much what happened. It pretty much changed me as a person forever. I have nightmares every night about it. And anytime I talk about it, I get a little, you know, nervous, and I start having panic attacks. I almost had a few 10 minutes back when I was talking about certain subjects, but it's a thing that happens everywhere. I've done research this past couple of years, ever since the memories popped back into my head. It's everywhere. I'm not the only one experiencing this. It's still happening to this day. You know, in the description are going to be certain stories that I found.
So I know this video's already long enough, but this is way and like this is before I'm gonna edit the video. This is days. This is the day before upload, and I will say right now that I found the sources, the website that I spoke about in the video. I don't know where I'm going to put this in the video, but I'm going to just go over this because I found the links. So we're just going to read along here. I know this video is long enough already, and I apologize for that, but there's a lot to really unpack in this video, and I really want to cover all of my bases because, you know, I know the sources are obviously in the description. Like I said, there would be. I'm pretty sure I said that in the video. But right now, I'm about to just skim through this a little bit. You can read this at your own leisure, obviously, if you want to really fact check what I'm saying here. But I'm just gonna just go through the gist of this. This is a very. Oh wait, no, I could do that. There we go. Obviously, this is a lot of text, but let's go where this right here. Isolation rooms are commonly used in many schools, typically with children who are on the spectrum. The isolation rooms are essentially a white cement closet with nothing inside. Obviously, it's different for a lot of people. For me, it was a padded room. The store has either a small window or small peephole, and many of them have locks. All you need to do is Google prison solitary confinement rooms, and what pops up is exactly what many isolation rooms look like in our schools. Some schools say that they use these timeout rooms when the child becomes aggressive, destructive, or can't calm down. I believe we need to sit down and come together as one to discuss the use of these isolation rooms in the classrooms of our children with disabilities. The policies in my area, Alberta, Canada, this person writing the thing here, are so broad that I believe they are being misused or abused. Children who are nonverbal are winding up in these rooms for hours at a time, unsupervised. Some parents are not notified this is happening, like mine in this case. Children are being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, from school. I was never diagnosed, but my therapist basically said I had it, but never really got a chance to diagnose me. The opportunity for abuse is high, and the evidence of abuse is growing. And, oh, here's the part I was looking for. I recently had my own experience with an isolation room. My 6-year-old son was diagnosed with autism, Tourette syndrome, nonverbal learning disorder profile, and sensory processing disorder, and OCD. I had 2 meetings with my son's new teacher to discuss a behavior plan, triggers, and ways to manage and approach him. The teacher showed me the chill room, which is now what I know to be the isolation room. I clearly expressed I did not want this room used because my son would self-harm inside of it and would damage the school relationship. And I said specifically moved into this area so I could be less than 2 minutes away, and that the event anything were to happen, I wanted an immediate phone call, and I would come get him. We had a plan and all, including the teacher agreed upon. He was to begin a specialized program in a class of 6. Blah, 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 you get the point. The teacher, blah, blah, blah. The teacher then grabbed my son and threw him inside the isolation room and locked the door. This is very common in cases that are, you know, public schools. Obviously, it's a lot more worse when it was a private school in my case. I was in utter shock. Cannot believe this happened. A simple story. Now this is a good point I want to make here. Most of the people who aren't autistic and on the spectrum, or just in general without mental disabilities, really are, you know, as they said, shock, much like Cybrie was. Now, I know it was I will talk about my decision to have Cybrie react to this. My point to do that is I feel like a non-autistic perspective would be helpful to really show that this is not a good thing to be doing. You know, and Cybrie obviously knows all too well about the padded rooms, because after I told her about it, I showed her a little bit of public articles, and before I even recorded the video, I talked about that with her. You know, it was a whole thing. But I ran up to the door and tried opening, but I couldn't. I yelled at the teacher in disbelief. He would just ruin any hope for positive interaction and everything we worked so hard for. And to open this door right now, he never came back over and opened the door. My son was visibly upset, angry, and scared. The teacher said he needed a moment and left the room. My older son, wide-eyed, was scared too. In a matter of minutes, everything we worked so hard for, everything we worked towards, all of our hopes for this school year were shattered. Everything we discussed at this meeting, the teacher had seemingly forgotten. For this teacher to do this in front of me, what could he do when I'm not there? It was a traumatic event for all of us. I'm terrified to send my child to that school or anywhere for that matter. My son won't stop talking about it. All he says on repeat is, I hate that school, I hate that school, I hate that school. And now my son has told me not safe with our in-home workers. He refuses to leave our home, and any hope for school to be positive is gone. With autistic children, it's widely known that these isolations do nothing but escalate the situation while causing severe harm and PTSD. Let's move on, because I don't want this video to be too long. Next one. Oh my god, I should have looked at these websites before I fucking... Okay, there we go. Actually, wow. This is actually almost identical to what mine looked like. Okay, moving on. Before I have a panic attack right now, let's scroll down. The spaces have had gentle names. The reflection room, the cool down room, the calming room, the quiet room. But shut inside them in public schools across the state, children as young as 5 wail for their parents, scream in anger, and beg to be let out. Yep, that's common. The students, most of them with disabilities, scratch the windows or tear at the padded walls. They throw their bodies against locked doors. They wet their pants. Some children spend hours inside these rooms missing class time. Through it all, adults stay outside the door writing down what happens. See, this is the kind of shit that's bad. Now, in Illinois, it's illegal for school employees to seclude students in separate space, to put them in isolated timeout. This is the kind of laws we need, to be clear here. These are the kind of laws we need. Now, I know I don't like getting political. I really don't. I hate politics because they're too toxic. But this is one particular thing that I have very strong feelings about. This is the kind of shit that sticks with people for the rest of their fucking life. This right here is the kind of shit that is bad. Here are some of the quotes. Please open the door, I'll be good. Please open the door and I'll be quiet. I'd rather die, you're torturing me. Something an actual child said, by the way. You can obviously, read this at your leisure, like I said. But point is, that's an actual thing from a child. In a central school. Like fucking hell. Now this, apparently... Oh my god. This is like a map, I guess, of the padded rooms, like isolation rooms. Now, I know this may look like a little amount, but keep in mind, this is bad, and also, this is just the stuff that's documented. Most of it is not documented, and that's a problem. Let's move on, shall we? This is something a 9-year-old said. I'm crying alone. After he was put in one of his school's quiet rooms, a 5-foot square space made of plywood and cinder block, 9-year-old Jace Gill wets his pants. Watching from the doorway, wrote down in a log, nothing, noting it was 10:53 a.m. on February 1st, 2018. That was only 3 fucking years ago. 3 fucking years ago. Right? That was 3 years ago. And it's been going on longer, obviously, because I'm here and I've experienced it. So, this has been going on for years. I at one point found if I find the link God, fucking... I think it was... This is the earliest thing I can see here. I don't know where. I don't know, but I did find a pretty old record of it. I found a pretty old record of it. Anyway, as you can see, yeah, no, here we go. This is, you know, in this article, I think 2017 is the earliest I can go. Obviously, you know, these are, you know, I'm crying, let me out of here. I'm crying alone. Obviously, this is, I guess this is a handwritten thing. Open the door. Yeah, you know, you get the point. Sorry. So this has been going on for a while now. Oh, here we go. This guy is. When was this article? When was this article written? Actually, 2019. 2019. So let's scroll up. This guy. I'm not even going to try to say that name, so I'm just going to call him Johnson by his last name. Johnson, 15, remembers how it felt. He used to go to the Kansas school too and spent time in the same rooms as Jace. This guy's 15 in 2019. Now he would be 17. So obviously, this has been going on for a while now. Wait, what? Oh, fuck. Wait a minute. Hold on, guys. I've never read actually this far into the thing. In October 2018, Jace died at home in rural Paris of a seizure in his sleep. He had not returned to Kansas. That fall, his family had decided to homeschool him in part to keep him out of the quiet rooms. Jace died. Alright, that's actually pretty fucking sad. Alright, moving on. Whoa, hello. I do not know what this is. Nonverbal, 16-year-old old with developmental disabilities was routinely shut inside. In 1989, Ted's mother, Judith, started speaking out. Newspapers published stories. People got upset, and the boxes were removed. Man, this... Oh, wow, this stuff has been going on for a lot longer than I thought. Okay, apparently this stuff has started happening even in the 1970s. All right, we are learning as we are going, ladies and gentlemen. This looks even closer to what it was for me. Look at that! Holy shit! This is a live. I guess now this is fucking turning into a reaction video. Look at that! Those are fucking scratches, and look at that dim light. This is almost the only difference with this fucking room for me is that the fucking pads were not blue. They were fucking gray. So it was even more dark and depressing. Like, look at this. This shit is not okay. Look at it. The quiet room. It has a label on it. This shit is what I'm talking about. This kid is only 6 years old. 6 fucking years old. And God knows how fucking old the kid is now. And this guy's Isaiah. He obviously probably experienced it since he's in the fucking article. Like I said, read this at your own leisure. Look at all this. This is all one article of many kids' different stories. This is a water thing in the room. Okay, moving on. Yeah, let's move on because this video is getting actually.
The Illinois State Board of Education is in the
hello,
process of
hi.
rewriting.
I don't want to get copyright striked. There's only a couple seconds. I could probably appeal that if anything happens with this video. I can't play that. Anyway, as state rethinks isolation, some parents express new concerns. You know, you can, like I said, read this at your leisure. This is mainly same shit, different people, basically. Because the guy's name's Joey and Mitchell. you know, you get the point. 4 wrong and 2 right. Way schools are doing isolation rooms. Oh, fuck. Go away, please. Thank you. Okay. I don't like the way this website scrolls. There we go. Using space. I had a stroke there. My fucking god. 2016. 2 years before I experienced it. Hello. Get the point. You guys get the point. I'm gonna have these links in the description. You know, I guess at your own leisure. At your own leisure, read these, but also at your own discretion. I will, however, you know, I know I'm going back on my word here, but there is a video that I do want to play. It's on YouTube, I believe. Listen, if Markiplier can go on YouTube listen, if we can do if people can do reactions videos on YouTube, I can too. Anyway, let's move on. Fuck. You're seeing a lot of what I look at right now. I don't know what to even call it. Isolation rooms. I'm trying to look for a very specific video here. That's what I'm looking for. Immediately mute that. There we go. Fucking ads. Ads. I have an ad blocker. Why isn't it working? There we go. Alright, let's find what I'm looking for here. Obviously, this is... There we go. Here it is. This is Maryland. Look at that. Hello. This is the kind of shit that we're talking... This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. This shit right here. Obviously, I'm not going to play the whole video because, you know, copyright. But you get the point. You guys get the point. Whether I'm putting this at the end of the video or when I mention that the links will be in the description for the videos and I can't find them, I don't know where I'm going to put this in this video. But I am putting it somewhere in the video. And, sorry about that. That was my fiance in the background. But, like, that is what I'm talking about. Let's get back to the video. God, this video is going to be probably a fucking hour long. It's going to take forever to fucking upload. Fucking hell.
Found about it. And just know that, you know, even if you don't believe me, look at the sources. And just know that I experienced this, and it was bad. These rooms are horrible. They're horrible when they're done in the way that they were done to me. But I'll get into that later. But it's a thing that happens everywhere. There's this one kid, I forgot his name, but, you know, this was one kid in Illinois or some state like that. And he was... And they called it the blue room, the isolation room, something. Anything like that. You can do, honestly, just Google isolation room, padded room, and autism, and you'll find it. But they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. And if you're watching this video and you're in a school, walk around into, like, the back parts. You'll probably find one if you're in a school that has them. But honestly, mostly they're in elementary school and middle school. But they're mostly in elementary. You know, high schools, honestly, I highly doubt that any high schools have them. You know, because at that point they're mature enough, they can fight back. I don't know. But they're not in high schools. They're rarely in high schools. And if they are, it's more of a calming room. But... And, like, one kid, you know, shot himself and made himself bleed pretty fucking bad where you need to go to a hospital trying to get out of the room. Another one shit themselves. Another one, you know, tried to, you know, hurt themselves in there. You know, but just... I'll try and put those links in the description. If one of those stories I just told aren't in there, it's probably because I lost the link. Because I'm just forgetful like that. I don't bookmark this shit. I should have bookmarked it into the document I'm holding in this hand here. I didn't put the links in there. I should have done that, but I didn't. But that's mostly on me. ADD moment, guys. Forgetting to do something. So, at this point, I forgot to explain this, but we're going to go over some clips here. And these are from my friends, my colleagues. This first one is pretty long. I think it's like 5 minutes or something. It's explaining padded rooms in detail from what I've told them. Their name's Phoenix. Link to their channel in the description. They have some Minecraft SCP SMP content in there. I'll put their link in the description because they are really good people. They gave me a lot of audio here. So this is how they see it. This is how they explained it. And
So, let's talk about padded rooms. I personally have never been in an institution where I've had to experience something like that. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful because from what I've learned about it, it's absolutely one of the most terrible things that an autistic person can experience. Because it's recontextualizing something that would normally be quite soothing for us, which is to say being in a quiet, low light level, low stimulus area to calm down, and turning it into a traumatic thing. Because you're being put there against your will, you're being held there forcibly, and often being forcibly literally dragged there. Which to me sounds absolutely fucking horrifying. I know I've personally, when I'm having, sensory overload or something, I've always been like, man, if I could just sit in, a nice, soundproof, quiet, no stimulus room, I'd be good to go. I would not like to be locked in there against my will, though. Because, funny thing about autistic people is that, operative word there is, people. That's a thing I think a lot of people sadly tend to just fucking forget. How do you, I understand that we don't necessarily connect, especially as children who haven't learned anything yet. We act in ways that to you seem alien. But fuck, that is no excuse to treat a person like that. I mean, it happens a lot to kids, not just autistic kids, just kids in general get treated like absolute shit for no reason. What, because they're not grown up enough, because they don't know things? Newsflash, it's your job to tell them about that, to teach them. Kids are meant to be protected and taught and educated, not terrorized. Especially children that are so vulnerable to that kind of thing, because it is clinically proven through some very heinous and inhumane trials, but nonetheless clinically proven that autistic children do get traumatized more easily because of the way our brain processes stressful situations. Because of how our brain catalogs that information, it becomes much more of an important sort of plot point in our mind's eye. It becomes much more pronounced. Especially because oftentimes we can't understand why these things are happening to us. We don't understand that our actions have caused this. And not even that our actions have caused this, but just being the way that we are, really, has caused this. It teaches children an extremely vile and disgusting lesson. The lesson that their inherent way of being is punishable by something that they will never be able to forget. It's unacceptable, frankly. I'm surprised it still happens. I am shocked. I'm appalled. It makes me feel sick to even think about children that grew up like I did going through what they did. I was lucky enough to have parents who at least somewhat understood autism and wanted to help me and got me in therapy and tried to support me and get me some of the support that I needed. I didn't get all of the support that I needed, but at least got some. And I'm still fucked up. I still have loads of trauma. just from being an autistic child, growing up in an holistic world. It's inherently traumatizing to us unless our parents work overtime to prevent that trauma. I have a friend who's autistic, whose mother is also autistic, so she and her family always worked very hard to make sure that she felt safe and that she was supported in the way that she needed to be. She's actually well adjusted as well. The majority of autistic criteria and symptoms are born out of the trauma that we experience as children. And honestly, that's just not fair to us. It's not fair to anyone.
Anyway, that was their clip. And now this is more clips. Another clip by Phoenix. Actually, no, we're going to change things up. We're going to do this after. We're going to have my friend Cybrie, hopefully, if she sends me the audio clip, how it affected me into adulthood.
Hello. I did not know what else to put in the background, so I'm putting this gold star saying you tried because I wanted to fucking... Anyway, this is just supposed to be a quick video. Clip. So what I just said about it affecting me into adulthood, Cyber talked about, that is wrong. That is incorrect. I misspoke. That was going to be the clip that you're going to see in a bit here from Phoenix. Not Cybrie. Cybrie's explaining how she feels about the padded room. So, I wanted to clear things up there. So, yeah. Stupid past me. You misspoke. You dumb bitch. And, yeah. Alright, let's get back to it, shall we?
Okay, so before I start, I just want to let you know that I'm not the best at voicing my takes on serious situations such as these, so if I say anything that is deemed hurtful or something along those lines, I am truly sorry because that is not my intention whatsoever. Okay, so, how do I word this? When Jason told me about his experience with the padded room, at first, I would say it was shock and disbelief that someone would put a child through that kind of thing. And I felt I don't even know how to word how I felt about this. I don't know how to word how I feel about any of it. It's when I hear the term padded room, I'm thinking of a mental hospital or an insane asylum, or those scenes in movies depicting the worst cases possible for certain medical conditions. And the very last thing that would ever come to mind when it comes to this kind of thing is high-functioning autism. But, imagine throwing a child into a dark room, a dark, empty room, because they misbehaved to a certain point. They ripped the paper or whatever. To keep them from hurting themselves, I can kind of get it, but what's going to stop them from using their own hands to hurt themselves? This is I'm not getting anywhere with this. The only way I can describe my feelings when I read about these situations is absolute disgust that people would be willing to put these children into dark rooms alone and scared because they misbehaved. I'm just absolutely disgusted by it. And the worst thing is, it's not helping these children correct their behaviors. It's only scaring them into compliance. Like, if they don't want to go into the isolation room or the padded room or whatever you want to call it, they need to behave. And sometimes that behavior is completely out of their control. So what are they supposed to do? Like, if I'm confusing anyone with this, I am sorry. Like, even I'm still confused by it, so I can't really word this properly, but it's like, it's just wrong. It's disgusting. Like, I just cannot I cannot get my thoughts. I can't wrap my head around this thing, you know? Like, I just can't. It's... This has been going on for like 5 minutes now. I'm sorry, Jason. That's really all I have to say about this topic. Like, it's disgusting, it's wrong, and it's harmful to these children to be using these rooms as punishment. And yeah, I'm just disgusted that people would be willing to do this. That schools are doing this, and that whoever is funding these schools is either aware of it and is allowing it, or are not aware of it, or just not wanting to do anything about it. I'm disgusted.
I'm really worried I'm gonna break my controllers. Anyway, that was Cybrie. I'm so fucking awkward right now because I'm trying not to have a panic attack right now. I'm keeping it together. This is Phoenix, how it affected me into adulthood. Bah.
The thing about these schools, the way that they treat children, it doesn't just harm them when they're children. It goes into adulthood. Jason, my best friend in the whole world, like a brother to me. One of the first times that I found out about this, I remember it like it was yesterday. He and I play a lot of VR games together, and he found a game that simulates that space. I didn't know about this at the time. So I saw him online, and I was like, okay, I'll join him, I'll see what he's up to. And I saw him in there, and he was just on the floor, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, Jason, what is this? Why are you here? And he couldn't really explain at the time. He was so out of it. He was panicking, and it was like he was barely aware of anything. I remember just trying to, because he has phantom sense in VR, I tried to comfort him in any way I could, you know, like hugging him or whatever, and he said that helped. At one point he was hyperventilating so much he actually passed out. And that was scary, when he just suddenly stopped responding to me. Eventually he came to, and I was able to get him to be lucid, and we actually talked, and he explained. He told me the reason he was in there. He felt like he deserved it. Like he deserved to suffer with all of those memories. I can't begin to explain how hard that is to hear. And how much harder it must be to deal with. It changes you. Not in a good way. At all. Even just yesterday, Jason messaged me asking if he was a bad person. If all of the terrible things that happened to him were his fault. And he told me, when I said obviously they weren't, he said he didn't believe me. Shit never goes away. Never.
Anyway, wait a minute. I just realized I don't need to clap twice to do the signal when I cut. That's the cut right there. I'm just gonna leave that in. Comedy. Important note here from Phoenix's audio clip of how it affected me into adulthood. At some point, I fully admit self-harm by putting myself in there is partially a separate issue of itself. I understand that. I know that's not just autism or anything. This is mental illness. I get that. You know, like, that's a whole separate issue, and it's a sensitive subject that I don't really know much about, but I did do it as a form of self-harm, and I regret it in hindsight. And I also understand some people don't believe in phantom sense by the clip that Phoenix said. To be clear on what Phoenix said, obviously. I'm just reading the script right now. I'm half winging it, and then I realize I say it in here. Please understand that self-harming by doing this is a horrible thing to do. And I made that mistake. And I will put a hotline in the description if you have problems like that. In short, please don't harm yourself or kill yourself, because I've had a couple people in that school kill themselves. And for some fucking reason, it's not on the internet. For good reason, because they are really damn good at hiding what they're doing. What else we got here? Oh, fuck. I played the rant before. Whatever. Now, I understand. Now, some rooms aren't bad. I want to say that flat out. In middle school, they had a padded room, but it was different. They had a beanbag chair, it had books, it had a Connect 4, and the guidance counselor would walk in there and say, hey, you know, I heard you had a little bit of an overwhelming moment. Let's play some Connect 4, let's play chess, and they would just play games with me, and it was great. That's a good form of padded room. Or they would just leave you alone in there, you know, let you do your own thing in there. They would put on the TV, let you watch a little bit of TV to calm yourself down. But, you know, after like 15 or 20 minutes, they're like, all right, you need to get back to class, or, you know, you're going to get in trouble here, and I don't want you to get in trouble. And I was like, okay. But it took me a while to get in there for obviously, like, I felt uncomfortable with rooms like that. So I was really nervous, and I refused to go in there until one day I was like, yeah, why not? Because I heard one of my friends in middle school, he was like, hey, this isn't that bad. I was like, okay, let me check. And then I checked, and it was great. And time for a conclusion, all right? Let me get this fucking shit out of my way. Oh my god, I fucking lagged. Let me get this shit out of my way. That's what I said.
There is silence here, so I'm filling in that silence. All right.
Oh god, I hope that fucking is still recording. I'm gonna talk assuming that it is still recording. So, in conclusion, I made this video mainly to tell you you're not alone and to bring light to this really bad issue. I don't really have much to say, but it was really hard making this video. It was extremely hard making this. Don't cut this out, future me. Don't you fucking do it. I know you're thinking about it. I can't lose it on camera. I'm gonna end the video now. I know this is more of a serious toned video. I apologize for that. I really do. But obviously there are a lot of parts I left out. There's a lot more to that place that really fucked me up. And I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to. And respect that. I just want to make that clear if there's some confusion with that, with everything. I didn't say everything about it because some things are best left unsaid. Some things are a lot more better unsaid. All I'm going to say is, if you're autistic or any mental disability, don't let anybody talk down to you. Don't let anyone tell you how it works. You know how it works. You have it. And that's something my mother always told me. You have autism. It doesn't have you. And I live by that. Be proud of who you are. Anyway, I'm gonna head out now. And hopefully the next video is not horrible like this. Honestly, I don't know what the next video is gonna be, but it's not gonna be this. This isn't a fucking story time channel. This is just, an introduction. Originally this channel was gonna be for Rosewood archives. I still have them, but I was obviously, if any of you are on stream or on Twitter, I'm no longer with Rosewood, so I had really nothing else to do with this channel. There's a bunch of videos that are privated and unlisted where it's younger me doing damn dumb commentaries and stuff with my iPhone camera, or not iPhone, iPod. I was not that rich. But this is basically a very old channel. And I know I hate saying this now, but for the old people who are subscribed here, hi, how you doing? Man, you probably remember my old name, and to my Twitch people, subscribe for some of this stuff. Maybe I'll upload my streams that I stream here. And obviously my RP I'm making, and there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. I am really having trouble keeping it together, but I do have to plug all this because, this is my first video. But, just a lot of content here is going to come. I just got to learn how to video edit. This video is that. Anyway, I am going to head out now. I think I've plugged everything. Twitch.tv/JasonPhoenix20. And obviously my Discord will be in the description as well. I'm gonna head out now, and I'm gonna check if this shit even fucking recorded, because if it didn't, I'm gonna fucking cry again, like I just was, and my eyes are very red. I am gonna go now. Peace out. How do I do it?